Alright, today we're shooting with Linda in the studio on the Fuji GW692. I'm trying something new where I'm showing you the settings at the bottom of the screen, so that'll be fun to, follow along. I don't think the settings on the Fuji change at all, but the Ricoh might a little bit. If you don't know, I use the Ricoh GR Digital 4 2011 model for my testing, light metering, all that. I'm just gonna start out. We're shooting on, as you can see, Cinestill A100T. So we're tungsten balanced today, and I'm leaving the cameras that I'm filming this with set to daylight balance, so that you can see the difference in like the way the light looks to your eye versus how it comes out on the film. I think that'll be kind of cool to see. Obviously, Cinestill is repurposed film that was used for cinema cameras. That's why they call it Cinestill. Here we go, loading it up in the dark. It's 800. Anytime you're loading up 800, you want to do it in the dark. Really, with any film, you kind of want to load it in the dark, but especially with 120, 800 speed film, it's going to be prone to light leaks and super sensitive, obviously. So if you're loading this in the sunlight, it's possible for that to slightly penetrate into the roll of film and affect your exposures. So just a tip. Here's our first test shot. You can already see here I have my Ricoh set to tungsten white balance also, so you can see the difference between the super warm, almost red light, and then it comes out color correct on the other end. Usually you see people use 800T outdoors, I feel like, often, which isn't necessarily the best use for it. It's actually better to use indoors with warmer light. I mean, you can see these are super warm, 2700K on the lights. So when you're thinking about using 800T, don't be afraid to use it indoors with warm lighting. I mean, if there's like white LEDs, then maybe not. But for like the classic warm interior light, it can be really good. Or like in the shade, like if sun is coming in through a window and it's like golden hour and it's kind of warm light, it's really good for that. And then in the studio, I really like to use it with reds because daylight balanced film tends to just overexpose red. And tungsten balanced film, if you're using like a full 100% red, it retains a lot more detail than the daylight does, especially when you're balancing it with other light. Like later on in this video, you'll see I'll use red on the backdrop or red on the model, then the warm white, and vice versa. I've just always enjoyed using it for that kind of thing. If you're new here, the digital test shots are always raw, no edits or anything. I just bring them straight into the video so that it's, you get to see what I see. And what we're doing when we do this is just checking the settings, and now you can see I have the settings on the screen, so you can watch. If I change something, that will change. And for, I think, the first two shots, I accidentally had my aperture at 2.8 on the Ricoh, and you see the Fuji, the maximum aperture on that is 3.5. My other film cameras can go down to 2.8, so sometimes you make a little mistake like that, and that's okay. Luckily we had enough latitude on the 800T, so underexposing it a little bit wasn't a big issue. Still playing with the light. The first half of the session, at least, usually you'll see I'm playing with the light, take a few shots with the Ricoh, play with the light, take a few shots with the Ricoh. I'm always aiming to just get something I'm happy with before I start shooting, so that I'm not figuring it out on the fly and I'm just, I'm happy with what the frame's gonna look like before I even pick up the camera. Film camera, especially with the GW692, you only get 8 shots, so every frame has to count. And I'll typically just take one shot and then change up the lighting, change up the pose, change the framing. Sometimes I'll do a horizontal and a vertical, but yeah, film's expensive. Gotta make it count. Hopefully you like the new camera. I'm using a Insta360 webcam. I think it's called like the Link something M Pro. I don't know. But it had pretty good dynamic range, and I don't know, I feel like a good choice for this kind of thing. You can see it in the iPhone shot on the left. It's back there on a little tripod. With the green light. And this time I moved to the iPhone angle to where you can see more of what I'm doing instead of just the model's face. Especially since you can see the model a little better with the webcam on this one. But let me know if you like this better, if you like the other way better. I'm still messing with it with each video until I get something I'm happy with. And y'all are the ones watching it, so it matters what you think. I'm playing around with the barn doors here. This particular modifier that I'm using is pretty janky, so the doors don't always like to stay, especially the bottom part. But I don't mind janky. I like imperfections that make things unique. So it's like if I have a janky barn door that's broken, then most people aren't going to have that same janky barn door that's broken, and I'll be able to get something that is unique to my broken barn door. That's why I like to just kind of use what I have and not worry too much about getting the latest gear or the best gear or whatever. And I'm pulling out some Cinefoil here. If you've never used Cinefoil, it's just black non-reflective material that is foil, so you can shape it whatever shape you want. And you see when I put it on there, take it off, see what it's doing. But I don't want all that fall off from the gap in the barn doors. And this is a lot more, you're in a small space, it's a lot easier to do that than to put a whole big black flag over there. Yeah, I recommend Cinefoil. It'll last you forever too. I have one piece of Cinefoil that I stole from my high school film class maybe 15 years ago. I still use it today. Just one piece. It can also be good if you don't have barn doors. You can kind of make barn doors out of the Cinefoil and use it in a similar way. You can poke holes in it and get some cool results. But today I'm just using it because I didn't want all that light on the backdrop. But I still wanted to light the model with the light on the side there. This is basic 3-point lighting. All right, we got the key on the model's face up top with the barn doors, and then the fill on the left with the softbox. And what I'm kind of going for here is like a fractioned light on the face and on the body, with the light off to the right lighting the body slightly differently than the face. You can see that cut where it's obviously a lot brighter on the face, but I still wanted light, but not a standard fill light below the face. We get this kind of like stacking effect, layering effect. I don't know what you would call it. I usually call it fractioning the light. I'm just kind of molding what I want from there. Now we're framing it up with the GW692. This is really my favorite rangefinder. In my opinion, it's one of the only rangefinders that's worth the money. One of the sharpest lenses I've ever experienced on a camera. Obviously the 6x9 negative is huge and you get a lot of detail there, as you can see. And I don't think I've ever really missed focus with how good the focusing system is on the GW. And I think it's a lot more reliable than the other GW. I think there are 2-3 other GWs. This is the most reliable one. Doesn't need a battery or anything. I'm a huge fan of it. I've tried a lot of cameras, and the cameras I have in my collection are the ones that are the most reliable ones I've used. And when I say reliable, I mean everything from not breaking down to reliably getting things in focus every time. That's big part of it for me. There's nothing worse than never knowing if you're going to be in focus or not. I'm all the way back there, as far away as I can be, for a vertical shot. Same light setup. Like I said earlier, sometimes I'll do a horizontal and a vertical, with the Fuji especially. Just because there's so much coverage you can get with a vertical shot on it. It's great for full body stuff in the studio. But for the horizontal stuff, I think it just looks so cinematic and nice. It goes great with the Cinestill. Take your head back a little more. Good. I had to pick one medium format setup to use. It would probably be Cinestill in this camera. Alright, now we're going to do standing look, changing up the light. Got 6 more shots to go. You see I'm just adjusting barn doors. Raise the light up since she's standing now. And now we're just going to think through pose, lighting, how we want to change it so it doesn't feel too repetitive. Alright, so we turned off our second barn door light, brought the fill light way down. Now I'm going to do a test shot. Yeah, I'm still at 2.8 here. At some point I'm going to realize that I need to go up to 3.5, but not yet. Linda's having fun. Just for a backstory, Linda and I have been shooting together for 15 years. We met in high school. I started photography in high school, and she's always been great to work with when I was learning how to become a photographer all the way to now. We do at least one shoot a year, it feels like, so there's always something to do, and she has great fashion, great collection of clothing, and she loves modeling, so it's a perfect match. You'll see, if you followed my work for any amount of time, you'll see I don't really work with that many people. I kind of work with the same people multiple times throughout the year. I don't know if that's normal or not, but I enjoy doing it because like with Linda, we can go back to when we were 18 and we have photos all the way up until I'm 30 now. So it's cool to have that documentation of like every year, both my progression and her progression. It's people and photographer and model and everything. I enjoy that part of photography. Just getting to know people and understanding people, seeing the changes in people when you only see them once per year is really interesting to me. They're living their life day to day, not feeling how much they change, and then I see, 12-month difference once a year over a long period of time. It's like you really get to see the development of a person, and I don't know, I'm interested in people, and that's why I photograph people, so here we are. Okay, so we're going with a beam angle on the backdrop with barn doors. Then I got the softbox lighting Linda. We're still figuring it out. What pose were you thinking? Figuring out the pose. Step into the light. Getting somewhere. Want the light a little more from a reverse angle, so it's less on her face and more showing off the look and the pose. I knew the red from her top was gonna really pop on the Cinestill, because reds look really good on Cinestill, so that's why I kind of have that first light set up, and in this light setup I'm trying to make sure there's adequate light on her top. I'm trying a slightly different angle on the barn doors. I'm trying to, usually when you see me putting angles with barn doors on the backdrop, I'm trying to kind of pick something that goes along with the pose. So since she's kind of going on a diagonal pose, I changed the light to reflect that. Always looking at angles and lights and shadows and all that. Every detail. That's why I like working in the studio. You have control over all the details. And if you take the time to just line everything up, and get a cool result. Alright, we got the horizontal, now I'm going for the vertical. See how the red pops? You see we're color correct on the background. Whereas in real life, as you can see in the video, if we're daylight balanced, super warm, but comes out white on the Cinestill. And there's also a warmer light. I don't know the science behind this, so if you do know the science behind this, please leave a comment and enlighten everybody. But warmer light will soften the skin in a way that white light doesn't. I don't know why, I just know that that's what happens. So if you're shooting black and white and you're using a warm light, the skin's going to look a little softer than if you're using like a harsh daylight balanced light. And same thing with Cinestill, using the warm light and then color correcting it with the tungsten balanced film. It gives you a softer look on the face. So it's a great studio film. I don't think people really think of it as a studio film, but it works. Especially if you're using continuous lighting like I am, because obviously this lighting is designed for motion, designed for video and motion and film. So using this film that's also designed for motion, I guess it kind of works well together. But if you're using strobes, it might be a little much to be at 800. But you can do whatever you want. There are no real rules in this world of photography. Good to know the rules so that you know how to break them. What you don't want to do is learn the rules so that you can go comment on people who either don't know the rules or are breaking the rules and make yourself look stupid by doing that. It's kind of like being the person who's like calling the police for someone jaywalking. See someone jaywalking and you're like, I need to call the authorities. That's kind of how you look when you comment saying your shutter speed is wrong, or you should clean the dust off your negative, or you should be at 100 ISO instead of 800 ISO, or those people who went to school for photography and think that the rules they learn there are the Bible to stick to no matter what. If you're one of those people, maybe now you know. Maybe you didn't know and now you know. That's how you look. You remember when you bought it? Going for the next look here. You've seen me messing with the light. We're going for the buttoned up LinkedIn headshot that isn't a LinkedIn headshot, It's like if she was a hit woman who needed a LinkedIn headshot. It's kind of what we're going for here. If you watch a few of these, you're going to see I don't give a lot of direction, but I do when direction is needed. And I always tell people, like, I will tell you if something needs to change, because I have, a vision in my head of how each shot should look. And I'll kind of let somebody just sit naturally, and then I'm moving the light around them to where it looks the best on their face, in my opinion. Straight on. And then I'll give them tiny directions to pose to the light. Pose to the left, pose to the right. Like obviously the light is on the left here, so we're posing to the left. And I'll just give direction if someone goes outside of that. Or if they just need to lift their chin a little things like that. It was all lined up at this point the way we want it, so we're taking the shot. Figuring out the framing. There you go. Really love how that one came out. Simple, but I think there's just enough interest, especially using this film, this camera together. It just creates such a visually interesting photo whenever you have dramatic lighting and you balance the light to where it'll come out white. It just adds a little bit extra where it doesn't just look like a LinkedIn headshot, you know. Now we're gonna bring in the red that I was talking about earlier. We're gonna go for a look that balances the white on the face and the red on the backdrop. We still have our light set to, I believe, 2700K. It was warm, pretty much as warm as it'll go. And then we got the full red, 100% red on the backdrop. If you were doing this with like a daylight balanced film, like Portra 800, the red would be super, super blown out. And you would have to, when converting the negative to get the colors accurate, you would have to sacrifice either the red or the daylight balance. So you could balance it for the red and then your daylight balance would turn way too blue. Or you could balance it for the daylight and then your red is going to be blown out with no detail. But by using 800T, you don't have to choose because the film kind of compensates. I think that's why people like using it for photos like at night of a car or at a gas station where there is a mix of red and tungsten light. That's what made it famous, right? The gas station photo. And I missed it, but at some point you see at the bottom left I did adjust my digital settings to be 3.5, so they're aligned. This pose took a little bit to figure out. We were going again for that hit woman spy kind of look. Like she's here to assassinate somebody and I caught her in the shadows for a moment. I don't know if you've ever played the game Hitman, but there are a lot of missions that feel like this with the lighting. One of my favorite games. I think is it Berlin? There's a mission in Berlin where you show up at a gas station and it's kind of like red light at the gas station, kind of like this. Now I want to play Hitman. Lift your chin up. If you're watching this, you can go play Hitman. I can't because I'm sitting here recording the voiceover. But maybe after this, I'll go play some Hitman. You'll see now that I kind of have a clear idea in my head, that Hitman idea. I'm going to do a little more direction to get it to align with that idea. I'm telling her to move, trying different poses, trying to get the shadows to fall in a way where it's just a sliver of light on her face. The goal here. And by just having that little sliver of light with the red behind her, giving her shape to her silhouette, gives you this cool little effect. Alright, I did a little bit of a jump cut. But now we flipped it where the red light is on Linda. The color balance light is on the backdrop. Using the barn doors to focus the light just on Linda, get it off the backdrop. Because we don't want the fall off this time. And you can even see, looking at the digital video here, you can see how all the detail just completely gets taken out of the red. Because even digital sensors aren't great with red. That is a big reason why I switched to film in the first place, was because digital sensors couldn't capture red, and I like using red. You might have noticed it if you've ever had your hands on some RGB lights and you turn it red and then you use your DSLR or mirrorless camera and take a photo, and then you start editing and you realize what the hell's going on. This is all fuzzy. No detail, and it's all fuzzy and crunchy, and I think that's just because the sensors aren't designed to handle full red. I don't know. Again, if someone knows more than me, you can say why that happens. But all I know is it does happen, and it doesn't happen with Cinestill. So, here we are. Tungsten balance, turning it white, and then the red had all that detail there. Now I think we're going to do one more horizontal, and then we'll be done with this roll of film. So what I did here is I told Linda to just mess around with poses, move around. A lot of times when you're shooting on film, people feel like they have to stand still, and they might not try different poses or move. You can tell them to just move, like, don't worry, I'm not shooting, but just move until I say stop, basically. An experienced model will kind of change their pose a little bit between shots. If you just pretend you're shooting digital and tell them to just pose until you say stop, then you might find something that works without having to waste any film or take any photos. Let me do that there. And I found something I liked, so now I'm going to light for that pose. If you feel like the poses are getting stagnant and you don't want to waste film, it's a good little tip. So here we are going for that barn door light on the backdrop to be pulling in the fall off, so that's why I took off the cinefoil, and we got that great fracturing on the backdrop that I love to do. Okay, don't blink. 3, 2, 1. There it is. You got the red with the detail, the white, the tungsten balance. We're done with that roll of film. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss the second part of this video where we're going to do black and white on the Ricoh. Really show off what that's capable of.